Well, let's do this. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to open this Polk County Board of Commissioners. It's December 20th, 2022. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Their extra agenda is on the back table. And looking for comments, this agenda. Hearing none, look for approval of minutes from December 13th. So moved. I'll second that. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Polk County Sheriff update, Sheriff Mark Garten.
Morning. I just have kind of what we've been doing over the last month and a half or so. We had Shop with the Sheriff 2 weekends ago, or Shop with a Cop. We had that event too. So we had two different events, same time essentially, but we had a group of Falls City kids that came that shopped for their families and for themselves as well. We gave them additional money to spend for themselves. And then we, with the help of FCO, we were able to get kids from each school district, Perrydale, Dallas, Monmouth, Independence. And they nominated kids. We got those kids there. Then we also had the city police departments come for the last half of that hour to the last hour of that and help them wrap or shop for their presents and then wrap for their presents. And had a green screen, had some fun. Santa showed up, kind of thing. So it was a good event. We helped over about 85 kids. We had about $8,000 that were donated. That was donated to us. 5,000 of that came from the Brothers Car Collection over in Salem. They this hopefully going to be a yearly thing that they're wanting to do with us every year. So that will help us expand this program a little bit. Walmart gave us more than we normally get. They gave us 2,000, and then we also got 1,000 from Salem Health, in addition to toys that Salem donated to. So we are in the midst of trying to give away those toys that we got from Salem Health, and also we got a lot actually from Salem Town's Women's Golf Club. Every year they've given us some. This year they gave us more than normal. And so we're using those for inmates' children. So that started yesterday, and then we'll end up delivering those out to those families for people that are going to be in jail over the holidays. So that's going. It's going. The other thing, we did Coffee with a Cop a few weeks ago at Karma Coffee. We haven't done that in a while, and it was a good event. A lot of good conversation just with general public that came in there. So that was it was fun. Let's see, staffing wise, we're down 4 positions. However, we have somebody that Deputy Myers graduated in November. He's still on FTEP. Deputy Erickson graduated last week. And he's already solo. He was solo before he went to the academy. So once he gets back, or now that he's back, he's going to be solo. He also did get the Lee M. Brown Academic Award, which he was like over 97% on his final grade. So he won that award. And then we have another deputy, Court Reed. He's nearly off FTEP, and another deputy that's still in FTEP. So Deputy Coons. So we're going as fast as we can with that without skipping steps and that kind of thing. So
Sheriff Gardner, so a little clarification. So those 4 guys coming out will fill these positions. You're short,
no,
or you need to hire 4 more people?
Short. Yeah.
Still short 4.
These are already spoken for, not counting those 4.
Okay.
We've had just recently 2 people that made it through the process, and we ended up washing both of those folks through backgrounds. We just can't cheat the system on that end. Just can't do it. So got to hold the same standards. We had a search warrant service for marijuana, over 3,300 plants, a little over 18,000 in cash, 3 vehicles and a boat that we seized. This is still part of that same type of organization that we've been dealing with for the last 2 years. They're changing, and so we're having to change kind of on some of how we investigate it, and it's not as blatant as it was initially. So they're altering tactics, and so we kind of have to alter our tactics as well. For instance, in this search warrant service, we had a couple properties here in Polk County and then one up in Clackamas that was related to it, where we seized the money, because the money isn't stored typically at the same location. So we had the help from OSP up there to do that search warrant. So we were able to hit them all at the same time. We've had, November, we had an impaired driving campaign, which is from ODOT, which pays for grant funding for us to go out and work impaired driving issues. We had that in November, and we have it going currently in December to go out and work those overtime grants. So we're still pushing the traffic safety, because our deputies just are busy enough where we can't just go out and work traffic. I mean, this is not realistic unless we have more bodies dedicated to work traffic. But they definitely go out and do their job when they're on these grants, and then in between calls for service as well. We had, since November 1st, 669 traffic stops and 230 citations out of that, and 34 crashes. 34 that met the threshold for us it's a reportable crash, versus we responded to 93 initially. Either OSP ended up taking the others, or they weren't a reportable crash, but 34 that we investigated were that met that threshold. Let's see here. We had a few awards in the last 2 months. Deputy Susie Fleming from the jail received the Corrections Deputy of the Year award through OSSA last 2 weeks ago. She's a extraordinary employee. She does LEDs. She's our LEDs rep. She helps with warrants. She's on our court security team. I mean, she really does put the effort forward each and every day, and is definitely deserving of that award. Jody Germond also received a Distinguished Service Award from OSSA, and that was primarily for her facilitation of the pet drive that we have every year. She's been doing that for the last 10 years. So since Randy Whitaker passed away, up to 9 years. And then Lieutenant Newman also received the Critical Incident Award, and that was not through OSSA, it was through the Oregon Police Officers Association. And it was for something that happened in 2021. They were just catching up apparently, but it was for his wildfire response. We sent him to work on a team in the wildfire in Lake County last year. And so him and several other folks got that same award for going down there and taking care of that. Let's see here. Jail numbers. I just got these last night, so I didn't have time to get them to you, but I can email them to you just so you have it. We had only 151 bookings, and this is just November. 151 bookings, had an average daily population of 94, with an average length of stay of 26 days, which is up historically from what it used to be in the 17, 18 range. So it is higher. Some of this our new bail matrix that the court is using is keeping them in a little bit longer in the beginning, but the numbers total are not as high as they once were. The Sheriff's Office and Dallas PD are the bigger users of the jail out of all the different agencies that bring folks to us. We brought 29, Dallas PD brought 28 folks into the jail in the month of November. So for instance, we had 39 arrests in November, 29 went to jail. So not everyone goes to jail depending on the circumstance. But yeah, the other thing that you've obviously heard about is the levy. I'm working on that and getting finding the right people to be on those committee or in that committee to be able to push it forward and get the right message out. I'm working on that to get that going. And I would happy to answer any questions you might have. That's a lot of information really quick. Just trying to give you an overview.
Are you planning to put anything back in writing again in a report format?
Yeah, so this month, December, I don't have anybody to do it. This is me pulling stats for the most part. Do a year-end report at the end of this year, obviously. We've done one every year. This one won't be any different. There'll be a year-end report. And once we get to a point where we're not down as many people and just the workload, once that changes, we can get that back on a regular monthly basis. But right now I don't have that.
Okay.
One of the issues that's going to be coming up in the legislature, and I'm not sure if it has legislative concept assigned to it or not, but is holding cannabis property owners accountable. Do you know if the trends are showing that these operations, I don't know what you want to call them, cartel structures, are purchasing these properties? Or are they renting them from folks? I'm just purchasing. Oh yeah, so that might not even. It's good to know.
Won't matter.
Yeah.
Initially there was some renting, but we haven't seen that as it's all been purchased property.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But the properties have gone back and taken other loans on them. So when you do get the properties, they're totally loaned out.
That's all over the board. We've had some that have owed nothing, and we are in the process and still in the process of those being forfeited. That was a collaborative effort with the federal government. The U.S. Marshals are handling those distributions of property to go sell those. But if there's a big loan on the property, we would have to pay that loan off in order to turn around and sell it, or sell it for maybe a loss, depending on the value of the property and all that. And then you bring a marijuana operation into the mix, and it definitely destroys the property value, and typically of the house and the shops, that kind of thing, that are on the property. So if we can take them, we do, just to help prove a point that this stuff doesn't need to be here. That's money's the only way that is going to hold those people accountable. And that's what we're trying to do. That's why we seize cars and those kinds of things too, is putting an effort that way. It puts more of a wrench in their wheelbox.
So despite the cannabis investigations, can you give us a sense of what investigative work is like? So you talked about patrol and you talked some about the jail, but I haven't heard anything about investigative work. And when you talk about workload, and you can throttle the patrol, obviously, but if you have investigative work, it's harder to throttle. You have to keep moving forward. I have no sense of where we are in your year-to-date workload and investigations for crime and what that looks like over a period of time. And I just would like to get an update on that. Just so all of us as citizens would have a sense of, are we in a normal mode? Are we I mean, again, we all listen to the news all the time. Crime is rampant everywhere. Okay, well, what does that look like in Polk County? And again, traffic is a different issue to me.
So the deputies that are on patrol, they handle most of the cases that they get. So they don't, just don't show up at a scene and take the initial information and send it off to a detective. That's not the way it works. The bigger cases that involve travel or outside of the county, those things get shipped to the detectives. Detective, right now we only have one. We have had two, but we're short on the road. So one of those is back working on patrol. So we only have one detective. I can't tell you what his exact caseload is right now. That's something I can add. It's hard to quantify that though, because those cases aren't 10 cases that a detective is not the same as 10 cases as a deputy on the road, just because the type of case they're typically complex. I can figure out a way to show that. I'll put that in the year-end report just to to give you a sense of the average workload of a detective. It's hard to quantify though. I'll work on it.
Hey, I just want to say great job with Shop with the Cop. And then your inmate kids toys program. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Make sure those kids don't get lost with mom or dad in the jail. So
That's the goal.
thank you for that. Any questions?
If you have leftover toys, and I think you've done this before, at the very end,
Yeah.
FCO will take
Yeah.
those and warehouse them and
Yeah.
do whatever.
We'll have a few extra this year.
Right.
So. Thank you.
Thank you. Non-listed items today. Hearing none, we're adjourned.